Welcome back to another deep dive review of Man in the High Castle, Season 4, Episode 8. So in this episode, the first item on the agenda here for us to look at is the depiction of Hoover. The Nazi regime offers Hoover everything he could possibly want. Now in our universe, Hoover was only able to surveil a limited subset of people. This was mostly due to limited funding, since it was later found that he had abused his power and put surveillance on people due to their politics. But with the resources available to the Nazis, he'll be able to surveil everyone everywhere. And it seems like that's his plan. Now, Whitcroft mentioned
it's going to cost.
But John's kind of interested and wants to hear the plans.
Show me a plan.
So he's not ready to shut it down just yet. And this all happens because Hoover shows them evidence, lets them hear evidence of a top Nazi general undermining the Nazi regime. And of course, any talk of bringing down the Nazi regime or having it, not last. Like in this case, he's saying it won't last. Any talk like that is treason. Now, of course, once John agrees to hear the plan, Hoover begins surveilling everyone that John knows. He interrogates Bridget, their nanny.
You don't understand. They're like my family.
No, Bridget. They are not. You have your own family, don't you?
He has somebody interrogate one of, I believe it's Jennifer's friends.
Jennifer said crazy things sometimes.
Like what? Crazy how?
She said she used to stay up all night long in the neutral zone listening to something called resistance radio.
And there's probably many more. And it becomes apparent that he's doing this in order to provide evidence to Berlin when they have John come there, that they're going to try to use this to take John down. This leads to Whitcroft mentioning that there's 103 nukes in silos across America, and that with those nukes, America on its own is a global superpower. Now he mentions this in order to give John a way out of having to go to Berlin. He can basically say, I'm not coming. If you want to do something about it, we have nukes and we're ready for war. Whitcroft, Whitcroft offers this plan. Whitcroft is clearly ready to start a Cold War, essentially, against Berlin. But he's going to need John to go along with it. And John isn't ready to go along with that plan just yet. This is just one more indication to the viewer that Whitcroft and John are not on the same page with the direction they want to go for the country. In my opinion, if John were really, truly interested in freedom, then he would have jumped at the chance to take Whitcroft's advice and just tell Germany, they can go suck it. And if you have a problem with that, we have nukes. Come for us if you want. Especially when Whitcroft tells him that the military will follow behind him as well. But instead, John gets up from the table and just kind of doesn't even want to hear this kind of talk right now. So it becomes clear that John loves being in power and doesn't want to do anything to threaten that power just yet. But this may also be an indication that John has something else planned for Berlin and he's keeping it to himself. Now let's take a look at Kido and the BCR. So despite what Kido has done to the BCR, when the BCR finds a bunch of these guys, they're lynching Kido, but they don't know it's Kido. But as far as they're concerned, the BCR, they don't want anybody lynched at all. They are not having any of that. So they release Kido, and they decide they're going to take him and they're going to put him somewhere until they can decide what they're going to do with him. Now the room they take Kido to, this is the same room that they put Frank's sister and her kids into, and they called it a waiting room. So Kido is now waiting in the waiting room. This is kind of a fitting thing, I think, that Kido is now in the room where he put Frank's sister, and he's probably hoping that they don't accidentally find the controls for the gas or something and start flipping switches without knowing what does what. So while Kido controlled Frank's sister's fate and her kids, he controlled their fate in season 1. The BCR now controls Kido's fate towards the end of season 4. Finally, this episode takes its title from a British propaganda song. Hitler has only got one ball. Now, you may or may not have noticed, the song is sung to the tune of Colonel Bogey March. Don't recognize the name of that song? Well, here it is. Now, of course, once you've heard the original song, you won't be able to unhear it whenever you watch this episode and hear the song being played. At least that's what's been the case for me. Again, I think this is just a nice scene. It's fun to see the characters, or it's nice to see the characters have some fun the night before an operation that could see them all getting killed. Now, there's only one other thing in this episode that stands out to me, and that's Abinson telling John that he's going to be left wandering the universes, lost, because he's messed with the fates, because he visited the other universe and tried to make contact, or is trying to keep in touch with Thomas. He's being somewhat prophetic here. As we all know, John doesn't survive. John dies a couple episodes later. But it's true. You know, John does actually talk about how it's how strange it is that his life could take a completely different turn in this universe. But Abizan is attempting to be prophetic and saying he's going to be lost among these places that he's trying to travel to. And again, I think that's somewhat prophetic. Because John is slowly losing control and doesn't really know what to do, and he's trying to hold on to the things. He's trying to hold on to the things that he loves, but it's not something he's going to be able to do. Anyway, I know this video is quite a bit shorter than the previous ones. This analysis, I was trying to find things that really stood out in this episode, and not just give summaries of some of the longer scenes. I think I accomplished that. If there's anything you think I missed, comment about below. If there's anything else you want to add that I did cover, comment about that as well. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to hit subscribe and make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified of future videos. And we'll see you in the next one.